You're listening to Real Investor Radio with Craig Fuhr and Jack Bevere, where we cover advanced real estate investing topics to help you stay ahead of the curve in your real estate investing business. Hey everybody, welcome to Real Investor Radio. I'm Craig Fuhr with Jack Bevere, and we've been speaking with Franklin Cruz on episode 16, and we're just continuing the conversation. Franklin is a developer, longtime investor, currently in the Lakeland, Florida area, doing some pretty exciting stuff. Franklin, tell everybody quickly again where they can find out. Just search for Franklin Cruz on Google.
Yeah, that's like the easiest way, man. I just go to Google, Franklin Cruz. That's it. Super simple. CRUZ, not like Tom Cruise.
Right. So, and the reason why I would encourage everybody listening to go out and check it out is I honestly look at Franklin as sort of like, where I was 20 years ago, where Jack was, 15, 18 years ago, sort of going into that first house in Baltimore and going, holy crap, what do I got here? I think the numbers work. I mean, Franklin is doing that in sort of the development game right now from the ground up, doing very high character houses on smaller infill lots currently in the Lakeland area. And we've been talking about that. So go check out episode 16 for sort of the history. And now we're going to get into the numbers and sort of the nuts and bolts of the deal, Jack. So we've been talking about this, 12 lots in Lakeland, correct? That was 12 lots. And how did you come upon the structure, if you will, or that particular sort of designed house, which is rather unique? Why was it that, and how did you come upon that? What was your thinking behind that? Quickly.
That's probably like the fourth rendering or fifth rendering within 2 years. I've been always playing with knowing that basically what happened was, how I came up with that is because when I did the deal with KB and I met all the national home builders, a big epiphany hit, which is the epiphany was like, we're never going to have homes of the future. I was told when I watched Back to the Future Part 2, I was going to have homes of the future, and that shit's never going to happen. And it was like a big shock for real. I swear to God, like I'm talking, it hit me. I was like, these guys, all they care about is this spreadsheet and the performa. We're never going to have homes of the future. Ever. And then I did all the research. It's like, who's doing modern homes at scale? And nobody's doing it. Like they say, oh, well, I could do it in a factory and I could do this. And no, you can't, man. The trick of development is land. If you don't know the land part, dude, you're fucked. Like you can't do this. You've got to learn land. You cannot make something in a factory and think you're going to pass all the permits and all the building codes and everything else with a municipality that's 100 years old and they're just going to change up because of you. No, man, it don't work that way. You got to figure out the house on the ground in the trenches. And I just wanted something cool. I wanted to be inspired. I wanted to go in that house and be like, this is cool. Like, I wanted kids to walk by and be like, Dad, I want that. I want that.
Honestly, if we had a way to throw up on the screen your designs right now, I would love to do it. Most people, I'm sure, are listening anyway. So again, search for Franklin Cruz and you'll see these very high character homes that you're doing. Frankly, I'll be honest with you. When I first sort of saw the sticks, I'm thinking like, what in the hell is Franklin doing? But bro, I'm so impressed by the PR that you've gotten off of this. It's been insane. Just sort of the buzz around the community and frankly, I would bet around the state. So you get to the point where you're in the lot, everything's ready to go. Let's talk about sort of like, first of all, where did you find that design, or is that something that did you sort of?
No, man, so my architect, I'm a huge Frank Lloyd Wright fan. And if you don't know what Frank Lloyd Wright is, that's why we call it Elon Wright is our building side. So we go horizontal with Elon Wright. That stands for Elon Musk and Frank Lloyd Wright. If they had a baby, it would have been Elon Wright. And so, Google Frank Lloyd Wright if you've never heard of him. And to me, his designs were in the 1900s, but it still looks like it could have been built right now. Like they're unbelievably beautiful. So for me but a lot of people don't know this, Frank Lloyd Wright never did a development. He never did a full development. Everything he did was one-offs.
Yeah.
And so to me, it was like, what if you could mix them? What if you could what if Elon Musk was in the building side and what would he do? And to me, I was like, he would do modern homes at scale and make them cool as hell. And then, keep the cost down, keep driving it from keeping be vertically integrated as much as you can, or just really know the micro details so you could keep your costs down and
So
have a product that's 10 times better than everybody else.
did you get any pushback from the community for sort of the, like, for lack of a better word, the difference of design of, I'm sure, than the rest of the community?
Oh, hell yeah. Dude, this is like it's a love-hate relationship. You get people that are like, oh my God, that's unbelievable. I had the president of the Habitat look at me on my face and say, I think they're extremely ugly. I think they're like one of the ugliest homes I've ever seen. And I was just like, okay, thanks. At least you got an opinion. I was like, I'm happy you got an opinion. Thank you. It's like, but I've had people look at me on my face. Even they thought I was the builder. They know I was like the developer owner. I've had people drive by and they're like, God, that looks so ugly. Look at that. That's the ugliest thing. I was like, thanks. Yeah, thank you.
I own it.
Driving in your Chevy 1969 Impala that has 3 wheels on it. Thanks.
Jack, bring your highly analytical mind to the conversation here and guide us in some numbers and sort of like, do what you do now, Jack. Tear this thing up and let's get into the particulars.
No. I think it's great. Like, and I've only been like messing. I've been messing with this the same way Franklin has, like just kind of like bumbling through, figuring it out. But then you figure it out, and you're like, oh yeah, look, like that's not brain surgery either, right? Oh, it's just real estate. It's just some new vocabulary to learn. Like, it all makes sense. It's just no one's giving you a course to how to teach it. It's just you're fumbling through the dark, figuring out, like, as you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got it.
So like it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, right?
3-bedroom, 2.5 bath.
3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. And parking's outside or garage?
Yeah, we have an oversized 1-car garage. That what we did too in there. We painted it all black inside the garage and put a hectagon light, which is standard in all of our homes. Just because what we thought about was like, nobody ever gives a shit about the guy. Nobody ever cares about the man cave. So you know what? Fuck it. We're going to actually make the man cave. So that, because what happens is when you move, you put all your shit in the garage. And then years pass, and as the man, your shit's in the garage. So you could never make the man cave, but you're the one that paid for the fucking house. So it's like, what? Now, don't get it twisted. I know there's some women it's like, oh, I paid. Oh, that's cool, whatever. But there's something about that damn area that's mine, And so we painted it black. We just made it cool, It's just like, what would I want in something that I can afford? I wanted to make it that anybody that had a job, if you had a job, you can afford this, and you could shoot for it. You could be like, that's what I want. Instead of like when I would go to these $1 million areas, I was like, that's amazing, but that's not realistic. I didn't feel like I could ever. Yeah, I wanted something that somebody could be inspired. Like when I've got a Model X Tesla, right? And so I could say that's something that somebody could shoot for, and it's something that's realistic. Not in your head, you're like, oh, it's $100,000 car. What? Hey, dude, if you just make $100,000 a year, you could drive that. You could be inspired by it.
It feels like a $300,000 car. It's faster than the $300,000 car.
Yeah, I smoke my friends all the time. It's hilarious. And like mine's got 7 seats in it. It's just like I was like with a weighted vest and all my tools in the front. So it's like
got the screw gun in the back. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care. I go to Home Depot all the time. You just buy the rugged. Just buy a big towel. That's it. You're fine. What's it gonna? It's a car.
So there's the that's the 12, and then hey, you know what? I apologize for like kind of circling back in the conversation here, but how are you sourcing these deals? I mean, so like people are like, hey, I could do postcards. Like, sure, you could just do postcards on vacant lot owners and just look for and just like that seems like obvious, but like I'm sure you're not finding like larger parcels that way, or are you? I don't know. How are you finding?
Great question.
Yeah, so great question. So my belief is one, if I'm going to find deals, there's got to be scalability. To me, postcards for me was never scalable. So I figured out the online game. Very meticulous, what's my zip codes in my area and hone in on that zip code and do that. Now, when it came down to development, surprisingly, a lot of my deals, 90% were referrals, because what I discovered was a lot of people don't know an active developer.
Yeah,
And
who's
so
buying
right
land?
when you say, hey, I'm a developer, they actually were like, oh, I know one. Because I even remember, I was like, my phone Rolodex is 8,000 people. I don't know. I can't say on 2 people I know, and one went bankrupt and the other one will pick up the phone, is a developer out of 8,000. But I'm in real estate, so it's like, they just don't know. So I just put myself out there. I was like, hey, I'm a developer. This is what I'm doing. If you know anybody, and then what I discovered was landowners don't even know what's possible with their land. They don't even comprehend it, because even some developers don't understand the land all the way up. Usually they just hire a civil engineer and they say, hey, do the work. I think I got a deal. And if they have a lot of capital, they can play that game because they've got to move money, So what I learned is just put myself out there. The big deal, the KB Homes was a referral, actually from Chris Chico. We know Chris, Craig. He actually had a lady. He's like, hey, dude, this lady, what can you do? So he referred me, and then he didn't even know about the land. I didn't know either. And then all these other deals, like I got 130 acres right now. We're working on a master plan, 460 units with a 200,000 square feet business park. That was a referral because the guy didn't know anything to do. He just said, hey, I know this owner. I think I could be in the middle. I'll bring in all the money, but can you be the person in the middle to make this deal happen? And I did. We're into that deal for like 3.5. We immediately got an LOI from KB Homes again for 11.2 on the deal. But I created the deal just from him saying, look, I don't know what I'm doing. So he brought me in. Olive Street, a guy said, hey, there's a sign there for 1 acre in an opportunity zone. I look at it and I find out there's a second sign next to that one sign that says 8 acres, same owner. It was 9 acres of land. So everything if you have what I discovered is like, if you have integrity in what you're doing and you're egoless about it, deals will come to you, man, because that's good. You're having good energy out there. And so it will come to you.
So right now,
I know that's probably not the best, sophisticated answer, but that's what I got.
I mean, right, Jack, I feel like right now we should not be in an era of competition, but rather more of collaboration and connection. So right now, I'm at a conference of about 700 real estate investors from, the smallest mom and pop to, guys who do big scale. And in the room as well are people with money, invest small, capital, private, who will go long-term, short-term. And so, there's a lot of competitors in the room, but there's this sort of mood of, hey, let's not be competitors anymore. Let's find out how we can help each other and connect.
Oh, yeah.
Not in a way just so I can make money off the deal, but like, look, it's a good karma thing too. I'm going to introduce you to somebody who might be competition, but I know there's a way that you two can work together. Just last week, I had a mastermind with some guys, and I had 2 of the greatest competitors in the chimney space in Maryland in the same place. These guys have had lawsuits against one another, and by the end of the night, they were talking like, why are we doing that? Why are we doing that when we know together we're far more powerful as the 1 and 2 in Maryland than being adversaries? And so that's the spirit in which I see my role in this entire podcast, and sort of my role in general right now in life is, how can I bring value and connect people together? So, I
love that.
Back to Jack's question, there are many MLSs in the country where if you do sort of a topo, sort of that aerial view satellite, it gives you the outline of the land, and you can see where all of the lots are sort of vacant, how they're zoned, a lot of times, and just in the MLS. Jack, you found that, correct? When you're doing this,
absolutely.
So is that sort of the way, other than referrals, that you would go about doing, a preliminary? No. Not at all.
Yeah, never. Just because what I found, those people aren't motivated. So what I discovered was, one, you've got to have. So right before I got in a commercial, I did 61 transactions of all single family in one calendar year, and all of that was online marketing, specifically Facebook, specifically news feeds ads, and very laser targeted in my area. And at that time I had an 81% closing ratio. So if I had the conversation with you, we're going to do something fast, slow, or creative. Either I'm going to buy your property, we're going to, slow is going to be listing the property, or doing something creative. And what I discovered through that is when people are contacting you, they are motivated to do something. You've got to solve their problem. So for me, it was all about solving their problem in a fast, slow, creative way. And then I would always ask them, hey, which one are you leaning towards? It didn't matter which one they leaned towards because all of them still pointed to all my companies.
Sure.
So I'm happy because we were able to help them. And if the deal was too tight, I personally don't believe in not being in-person wholesaling at all. I believe if you're going to do wholesaling, you need to see that person face to face like a fucking man. And you actually need to let them know, hey, if I can't move this, I'm going to buy it.
Yep.
And I'm going to rehab it. If you can't say that, then I want you to be there physically when you say that you didn't find a buyer, so you could see that mom crying to her kids because they already spent the money. So I took it really personal to figure out solutions no matter what.
That's called, by the way, that's called old school wholesaling, where there, we didn't have 10 visa clauses. I'm not going to, go out 90 days and then tell you I never found, couldn't find a buyer for the place. I love that. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So then even deals that, like, for example, I just got a deal because somebody called me the other day. The guy, older gentleman, he wanted he wanted $420,000 for the house. I figured out the house is actually worth about $600,000. But the thing is, that number's so big on a wholesaling side. I was like, dude, I'm not. You know what? I'm going to list it for you, and I want you to make $600,000. We'll just make the listing fee. He started crying. So I was like, that's what it's about to me. Good.
You're actually still doing, sort of one-off residential deals, at the same time you're doing these larger development deals.
Oh yeah, you got to get your reps in. To me, you in development, it's real easy not to get your reps in. And what I mean your reps is like having conversations with sellers, negotiating, still, being out there in the field. I'm not in the field as much as I used to be, but I still go because I want to make sure that I'm getting my reps in. It's like you've got to get it in. If you choose to be in this field, you got to see what's happening. How's the market? Just like right now, when I put out one ad in my area, I got 5 leads that called, and we locked up 2 amazing deals. Out of 5, like just one, it's $60 of ad spend, and my, the conversion ratio is stupid. Like one of them is a manufactured home we got for $80,000. It's worth $280 with a lake in the back, but it needs a lot of work. But those deals are there because a lot of people don't have capital right now or know-how of how to fix these rehabs anyway. So what I learned was if you start layering your specific skills in this game of real estate investing, it's only going to help you. Just right now, I'm layering in development skills and building skills.
Something that we've found is that like the development stuff, the bigger projects, like the hits are great, but they are unpredictable, right? Like you can't. It's hard to build like a pipeline of like larger deals. Like they hit when they hit, and then you may go quiet for 6 months, but then you go like boom, 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 right? And like I don't know, it's just what it happens. So like it's hard to build a steady, consistent pipeline out of it the way that you can with single family. Yeah. And even the infill stuff that we've probably done like, I don't know, 20 or 30 infill deals over the past like 3 years, but I haven't been able. I'm up in the Northeast. I'm in Maryland, so like it's a much less like permit friendly state. There's not as much like undeveloped land still to find, and then the permitting process itself is like unpredictable and can be very long and painful. And so even just trying to line up Cruz, like I've been able to put together enough infill deals to say that we do infill deals, and like yes, we buy land, but I can't say that that's all we do. Like I can't keep a whole team busy just doing that. I've got to like have it sprinkled in, so it's sprinkled in with my construction projects where it's maybe a different set of subcontractors, but my project manager goes from doing like a kitchen and bath rehab to a full gut rehab to a moderate rehab to do a new construction, and that's just something else that they can do to keep my project management side busy and so they're bigger pops because the margins are better on them. But but I think about it the same way. It's like it's another tool in the bag. I'm always working on it. I really like doing it. It's fun, but you got to do others. Well, we at least have had to do other stuff as well. But it's a nice part of the portfolio, so to speak.
Oh yeah, 100%. I look at Go ahead.
I love that mentality, Jack, because I think that anybody who's sitting here that's sort of from the outside looking in, and frankly, I've never done any land up development. We did a small subdivision next to my house on some land with a builder. And by the way, that was 6 houses. And that took 2 years, Franklin. 2 years to go from raw dirt, old person dies, has 3.5 acres. This guy comes in. I've got a small piece that they can put together. 2.5 years. And as I spoke to the builder on the very last house that they were building on the lot that I sold, the guy said, so 2.5 years to get to this place right here where we're on our last house. It's really closer to 3 at that point. He says, and on this last house, it was 65 grand in impact fees, permits and impact. They had a shovel in the ground. It was $65,000 just for that one house in Maryland. So imagine, the environment that we're in versus the one that you're in, and sort of like looking from the outside, going, this guy Franklin, he's killing it. He's making millions of dollars. When in fact, what they don't understand is, well, I'm on to the next deal, and that deal is going to require some down money, and so there goes that part of that million. And so I think that's what Jack is saying. Like, these deals don't just land in your lap at that perfect time where you can go, I'm going to go from this one next to this one. And so I love the fact that you're still, like, you've kept your roots in sort of the single transaction, maybe double transaction. You're still out there getting your reps in with wholesale deals and traditional real estate investing deals that like Main Street guys like us do.
Yeah.
But while at the same time, guys like you and Jack, you're figuring out, hey, man, there's this different place. And so in Baltimore City, Jack, I'd love for you to talk just briefly about like this thing that you found, maybe to inspire Franklin and others who are listening. Quickly just go through that, like, hey, man, we learned this sort of multifamily. It's going to be affordable in a tough area of Baltimore. But, like, can you talk about it quickly, Jack, and sort of how that came in your lap?
Yeah, so we bought a piece of dirt in Northeast Baltimore. It's not a bad area. It's a really nice area, but it's like, where the land's not worth a lot, though. So we bought this piece of dirt for 700 grand. It's zoned as of right for 61 units. And we're going to end up doing actually we were going to do townhouses, multifamily townhouses, but because of the design guidelines in the city, which again, it's one of those like it's a super local business, right? Like literally you have to but who the hell is going to read like your county design guidelines, right? Like before you get started, like, no, like let me put a deal on the table and I'll think about it. But I'd rather,
100%.
Yeah,
you're not going to tap that out
before I have a deal. Yeah,
so true.
It's like get something under contract and then figure it out, right? And like you either have the confidence as an investor to be like, I know I'm going to figure it out. If there's a deal, I'm the guy who can figure out if there's a deal here or not.
Yep.
And like you said, manage the seller's expectations that like, hey, I'm not sure, but I'm the guy to figure it out, and I'm just going to go work for free and figure out how to like get you the value that exists out of this land. Yep. But anyway, so we're doing this. It was one of those situations where it was like, as of right, we could put 61 units of resi on this piece of dirt, and we started down the path of doing multifamily townhouses. But the design guidelines screwed us up, so now we're pivoting back to just doing a multifamily building, which should be fine. But I'm carrying this $700,000 piece of dirt the whole time, right? It's been a year change. I'm now pivoting and going back to the architect to get a new set of plans to do this project. So I mean, those there's a little scale to that one at 61 units, but that stuff happens, right? And it's not for the faint of heart, and you have to have some cash to carry that along the way. But it's going to end up being like, an affordable multifamily project. And our basis in the dirt is less than 15 grand for the raw dirt. And then we're going to have to, and we're already utilities onto the site. So we're going to have to
maybe save some money. Now, let me ask you. So on that site, is it an approved area for affordable housing? Like actually to get your grants and the funding from affordable housing?
There's some property tax credits. But but it's not and there is an affordable housing requirement. I think it's 10, it's like 10% must be dedicated to less than 80% of area median income.
Yeah, there's got to be like a medical facility, a bus area next to it, school nearby, stuff like that as well.
Yeah, we don't have like the outside of like low income housing tax credits, we don't have like any municipal or state affirmatively like, hey, here's credits for creating affordable housing. Rather, it's a bit of the opposite. It's if you're going to do new construction, you must put an affordable housing component, which just like drives all land values down. So they're instead of the carrot that they're using in Florida, they're using the stick because hey, it's the Northeast, and that's the Northeast.
Yeah. It's interesting because if you look at the that workforce housing chart, it's called AMI chart. So now we don't call it workforce; we call it workforce housing, not even affordable housing. I just say it's workforce housing. It's technically the same thing, but to me, it's like I want people that's going to work for it. Like have a job. It's like so. But what I've discovered was it's like it's still pretty high. So if you have a family of 5 or a family of 7, or those numbers are still typically like the rent rates that you're allowed are high. Is that the same way that you're seeing it, or?
Yeah. Okay. And we get pretty much especially in most parts of Baltimore City, the AMI charts are fine with market rent. Like if we're renting to somebody who's got a voucher, like we're getting market rent. In everywhere except for like the highest end areas. Yeah.
And why didn't you want to sell it off? You didn't want to just do the approvals and entitlement, sell it off to another like family office or somebody else?
I wanted to figure it out. It's one of those like we were just like, hey, let's we've never done that. Like we could have just like. Yeah, we could have put all the paper in place and then sold it to a LIHTC developer or something like that. But we were like, nah, you know what? Like, let's see if we can go do this one. We'll learn a lot. It'll it'll be part of our learning Our cost basis in the land is low enough that the carry is not killing us, and so we'll use it as a learning opportunity project, and and also just because it sounds fun, right? Like I've never done it before, and I want to say I did one.
Dude, I'm in the same boat on my 96 unit. I negotiated a carry. I negotiated no payments for 3 years when I bought it at 2% interest. But I also gave them a lot more than what they wanted. But that property, man, I'm into it for $450. The last LOI I had was for $2.4 million, and I said no because that one was the deal. I'm like, I want to learn this one. Yeah. Now, don't get it twisted. I've got a huge asset that's 450 plus units with 130. That one I'm selling. That one I'm like, I don't want to do it. Way too big. I don't even want to learn that master plan because master plans are different. I'm like, just let me learn. I got the subdivision. Now I want to do one. I want to go horizontal and vertical. So I totally get you.
Dude, talk to me about the master.
Go ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
Franklin, talk to me about the master plan thing. Like what, because that's not something that I've done before. And whenever I think master plan, like I'm up in Maryland, so I think of like Columbia, which is like half of Howard County, was a master plan community, which is one of the biggest master plan communities that have ever been done. But I'm pretty ignorant to like this, like the smaller scale ones. Like what are the talk to me about that. Like, what are the advantages of it? How difficult is it to get it done? Like, why go through that? Like, why do a master plan community?
Couple things. So, great question about master plans. So, there's different sizes of master plans, right? So, an entire city, community, zip codes, they can have a huge master plan for different kind of asset classes within those zip codes or municipality, right? But then if you bring it all the way down to a master plan subdivision, so you've got small subdivision, which is about 50 homes or less, right? That's small subdivision. Then you've got large subdivision, and this is how it reads, large subdivision, 100 homes or more, right? And then master plan is if you're mixing in residential with business park, with self-storage, with industrial, all on one big parcel. So we have 3 different parcels that we did an assemblage to correlate to 130 acres with the lake in the middle. And they're different zonings in different areas, but we own it all. So we have like a very small, in comparison to like a big city, dealing with their large master plan, this is just a master plan dealing with the development. So then you would say, okay, in this section, we're doing this. In this section, we're doing this. In this section, we're doing this. So that's why they would consider it a master plan.
So
And
you don't have to like subdivide and say like, hey, I'm going to subdivide and put the office building here and put the restaurant over here. They'll
no,
let you.
you're subdividing it. Yeah. Now,
Oh,
if
you're
you
doing
want,
it.
I could subdivide it and sell it and have different parcel IDs,
Mm.
or I could resell it. Like right now, we've got a couple family offices that are interested in it because they like those different asset classes. And so they want to keep it all together and just own it all without the subdivision, which for them, it's a lot easier. You know, you're just dealing with, one parcel ID with all of the assets within that ID. But yeah, you could subdivide it. It all matters the time, because like I know, man, like development is different when it comes to time. You don't even know how long it's going to take to get the studies done. You don't know. It could take a year. It could take 2 years. You have no idea how many conceptual plans you're going to go through. Something can change, So to me, it was like, this site is huge. We've got a good enough spread that we could figure out what is going to be what I call maximum buildable capacity. What is the maximum buildable capacity on this site? And what is the easiest that the municipalities will also allow us to do without fighting us? That's the other thing. So it's like, it's political and it's, legal, that you've got to understand all this at the same time, because we're the quarterback as the developer. So on this site, we're going to do the master plan, and we're not doing any horizontal or vertical. We're just getting it approved and entitled, and we're selling it off.
So, talk to me about the politics side of things. Like, how have you, how has that experience been? Like, are you the guy? Like, who's the face? Like, does it need to be you? Can you outsource that? Like, for the introverts out there, like me, who like don't really want to be the face of that, but like you seem to be like maybe an ideal front man or point man rather.
Man, I'm the only reason why I'm the front man, dude, is because at the time I had no money. So it's like I couldn't afford nobody. I couldn't I was like I can't even afford a model. I got to be the model. Like I got to be I got to be the attorney. I got to be the civil engineer. I got to be out there doing the ESA report with the guy so I can understand what he's doing. So I don't have to. He has to charge me so much. Hopefully he can feel sorry for me or something. It's like I just had to learn it.
To Jack's question, have you had to go and sort of do the dog and pony meet and greet, glad handing the local official?
I mean, 100%. But it makes it go faster. So what I learned is I don't want to outsource it. I want to meet the mayors, the city commissioners, the senators, because then you get inside information of what's happening before anybody else. The mayor is the one that told me about my site on Olive Street, the 96 units. He's like, I think that's an opportunity zone. And I was like, what? What's an opportunity zone? Never heard of that. It is an opportunity zone. Oh, this is great. It's like, you don't know this stuff. You don't even know where to look, So mine was just a money thing. I wish I could have somebody else. I'm like, hey, dude, Jack, can you go do this for me? I wish I had that kind of money. I could do that. No, I was like, Frank, you have to figure this out, man. And I would tell people, I don't even know what I'm saying. But if you could help me, that'd be great. It's just like being as honest as I can.
How are you finding it?
Like, are you more authentic?
So how are you finding it, though? Like, are you getting up in a community meeting and someone raises their hand and they're like, yeah, that's the ugliest fucking house I've ever seen. And like, you just like rolling with it. Well, like we've got a lot of enthusiasm for it. Like,
Well, the funny part, I got that through social media, actually. So there's local social media groups. So what happened is I posted something and then somebody forwarded it to a local group. And then the Lakeland Ledger and news reporters are a part of that group. And then they started seeing the flow of hatred and love for the projects. And then they reached out to me, and I was, and then they started coming out in groves about the project. And so he's just like, at first I thought about it, I was like, man, probably I should hire like a PR person. I was like, man, that's expensive. So I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. I'll just post it. If God wants it to be out there, God will make it work. And if he don't, it won't. That's it.
Yeah, amen to that.
Mm-hmm.
Amen to that.
So, yeah. So I wish it was like way more sophisticated that I could tell you like the sexy answer. I'm like, It's not.
It can be like emotionally trying though, right? Like you got a lot of money, you got a lot of energy in this, you got a lot of money in this,
Oh,
right?
dude.
If you're carrying this thing, it's something you already taken down, and then all of a sudden you've got like this like coming at this negative coming at you, like threatening not only like your vision but your pocketbook. Like, dude, that seems
Oh
like,
yeah.
that could be seem like an emotionally like psychologically difficult process to go through, right?
Oh,
Like
dude, imagine that. And I went through a 4-year long divorce at the
at the
same
same
time.
time, yeah.
At the same time. So let me tell you, the real talk. When it comes down to this, man, there was times I had to ask friends for money. Like I didn't have money for my own car payment because I put everything I had. I just believed in my soul. I was like, I know this is going to work. And then it's like I could pay this sub who has to get this study done, but I know this is going to work. And then a deal that I thought was going to happen doesn't happen, right? Because I've had probably 5 of those. You think you're going to cash out 200 grand on this deal or 50 grand on this deal or 150 on this deal, and then it just none of them for some reason in this long stretch didn't happen. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And, it's embarrassing. I actually had to, hey, I think this is going to work. Now it's like, I know from I think, but I know that it's like I had to trust myself to like, I know this is going to work, man. Like, why would God take me this far if he's just going to like leave me homeless? It's like, I know this is going to work. And then it did. And then out of nowhere, it's like, I went from like, no lie. I thank God somebody sent me Apple Pay for $300 because that's what paid for my Instacart. I was like, because to me, it was like, I still need to work. So I need to put in all my time. Somebody gave me enough money to feed myself. And then out of nowhere, then these big checks started coming. So I went to like 0 to like, had to learn how to meditate, not pray, because I didn't even know what to say to God. I was already embarrassed. I was like, God, I don't even know what to say. So I was like, I'm just going to learn how to meditate and shut my mouth. Why don't you just tell me what to do? So it's just real talk, man. Just keeping it.
Jesus, take the wheel, Jack.
Yeah.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Yeah, 100%. I got so stressed, I just stopped shaving. I just said, fuck it. Let's get a beer. let's just go. I was like, I used to be a pretty boy. Craig knows it. I shaved my arms. I was like, man, I don't got time to shave my arms. I'm not shaving nothing. I just got to work. I would wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, not, go to bed at 9 or 10, and then wake up at 2 or 3 again. Like I wouldn't have no phones. I just kept laser focused on everything. Because I knew if you can get development for real, whoever's listening to this, you've got the keys to these family offices and these billion-dollar families that they know that we didn't know. They're playing in that commercial world and development world for a reason. And it's all knowledge base. And I've seen it in my own eyes. These developers, a lot of family offices, they won't even teach anybody within their development company because they only want to teach the son to be the CEO. And it's so interesting. And I was like, I just have to figure this out. If I could do this, I know I could share this with a lot more people, because if one day I won't be here, but if I could share this knowledge through everything I learned, then it's well worth it. That's how I looked at it. Personally, just me.
Yeah. Yeah. Jack?
No, I'm good.
Yeah. So, man, we got about, we'll go for about another 5 minutes if you got it, Franklin.
No, I was about to say, I got about 5 more minutes. That's perfect.
Yes. So as I listen to you, I know that you've done some build to rent. You've done that, correct, Franklin? I thought I read that somewhere. Yes.
We are, the 96 units we're doing build to rent. That one.
Okay, got it. But
that one I'm keeping until I'm 150 years old.
Yeah, I love that.
So what's the you're into the land right now, and then you're going to go do vertical construction on that. Have you started that vertical construction yet on the 96?
No, what we're doing right now is we're finalizing our code developer. So here's the other thing I discovered. When you're playing in this game, when you want to go horizontal or vertical at a larger scale, let's say it's over 20 or 30 or 40 units, you got to have another player that's done it before on your team, period. Like, because the funding is different, so it's a $60 million plus development, so you're not going to get that if you've never done it before. And I wouldn't give it to you if I had it, if you've never done it before. Like, just real talk. Like, hell no, I wouldn't give it to you. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. But so what I'm doing is that's why we're learning how to do the 12. So then that co-developer that we're already talking to, several groups that want to co-develop with us, they would bring 100% of the capital, 100% of their background, 100% of their experience, and then we would be the boots on the ground here, because we do have all the subs for all the horizontal, the land work, all your utilities. We have all that in-house.
How'd you build that bench? How'd you get that together? How'd you get comfortable with that? How do you figure out like grading, right? Like moving dirt, right? Like how's a guy supposed to know, all right, I got this site, we need to move some dirt from here to over there. Like how much is that supposed to cost? How do I know the land got, like one, how do you find those contractors? And two, how do you know what that stuff's supposed to cost? Because that ain't lumber at Home Depot,
Yeah. So what really helped is that we did the house at Habitat and we did all the work ourselves. So we understood who were we didn't do the foundation. So we had to call that in. But we figured out, oh, you got to have an account with Cimex. Oh, you got to get your concrete pump. Oh, these are the subs. And usually the subs that are doing a concrete pad, if they could do one, they could do 96. And they the utilities players. So then you got to find what I found. I got lucky and I found who's the supplier of the utility pipes underground. And that's usually a company. It's not Lowe's or Home Depot. That's called Core Main. So Core Main is like the Home Depot or Lowe's, but for underground large utilities, so they're the ones that factor in your mini manholes, your all these things. They're the ones that you buy it from. And so they have all the context. So I just asked the guys like, hey, who's some key players that could do a 9-acre site? And he's like, oh, Tiger Development, or there's Tiger Development. There's 3 other main guys that you could call for site work. So I called them up and I said, look, this is the site. And when, they're experienced guys, so all you got to do is send them over a conceptual plan. They'll say, look, roughly it's going to be between this and that. And then I took a course on YouTube University on land development. And then I just started I would just ask them questions that I'm learning. I'm like, because it's not that far off from doing a house. It's just, your utilities, you're doing your own utilities. It's infill. Thank God it's an infill 9 acres. So I could tie in right to water and utilities, but I still got to, build everything out within my own infrastructure. So I found those guys again, just like finding where do they get their materials, and then asking the guy where they get the materials, like who's your key customers, and then getting their phone numbers and referred by them, and then I would talk to them, and I got bids from all of them. Mm-hmm. So that's what.
Just getting out there, networking, asking stupid questions, asking for referrals.
Yeah. And just to me, that's the fastest way to learn is just start calling people and having conversations. Don't do the emails because it's too slow. Actually go out there and just talk to people. Go to a subdivision that you're seeing built right now and ask the subs. Hey, who's your guy? Hey, who did the land? They'll know. They'll know. Juan Lopez will know. You just talk, it's like they're going to know. So you just have that conversation and that's it. That's all I would do. And it helped because I'm a little bit tan. So they're just thinking I speak Spanish and I don't. And I was like, look, man, you'll know, I'm Espanol. So who's the boss? Who's Jefe?
Who's Jefe? I learned that.
Man. Yeah.
Did you use a consultant when you're looking at a piece of raw dirt and you're like, hey, how much is it going to cost to move this dirt, to put the roads in, to put utilities in? It's hard to, like you said, you had to have a site plan. You can send them to get individual bids. Did you ever work with a consulting company who could give you an estimate based off of a site plan, based off of a proposed site plan? Or did you do? You just did it. You did it one contractor at a time for each piece.
Yeah, and it was only the 96 units. Everything I did, I really wanted to get really, 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 really great at approvals and entitlements. Mm-hmm. So I never wanted to go horizontal in the beginning. I just wanted to get good at one thing first, and then elevate after that. But I didn't even feel confident until I did one house. And then it's it gave me the confidence, okay, this is doable. These are the subs. Now I know the vertical side. Now I know the land side really well. Now I got to get that horizontal piece of the actual work. So I didn't even know you could hire consultants for that. Lakeland's small. There's only
and flat.
two. There's only 2 attorneys you could hire for land planning. And then there's another the attorneys, between who could be your civil engineer. There's only one guy that actually is a land planner in Lakeland that's really good. So it's like everybody has these mini monopolies within development, and that's why it's integrity so high. Like, you have to have integrity to play in this game, or they just won't pick up the phone. They're like, no, I don't want to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Franklin,
Is this being helpful?
Okay.
man, I knew this would be inspiring, enlightening, and most of all entertaining. And you obviously did not disappoint, my friend. Seriously, I couldn't be happier for the growth that I've watched, from afar, lurking online, and honestly, the opportunity there is insane. I was reading prior to the show here that there are 26 affordable rental units for every 100 households with incomes,
Yeah.
of 0 to 30% of the AMI, and that's a deficit of like 400,000 affordable units in Florida right now. And so, the the,
Oh yeah.
the niche that you're fulfilling, sort of with that affordable housing for buyers, as well as I'm sure at some point you'll get into the build for rent. It's there. I think it's only going to
Mhm.
continue to get bigger, and the fact that you're learning it by doing it should be
Yeah.
inspiring for every single person that is listening to this, who's always said to themselves, look, if I've got four walls and a roof, I can make this thing pretty again. It's a whole different
Hmm.
ball game when you decide, I got to learn some new skills to put in the infrastructure, the roads, the
Yeah.
utilities, and all that stuff. And so I just love the inspiring story, and I thank you for sharing it with us, man. And if folks want to find out what Franklin is doing, I would highly encourage everybody to go out and get inspired just by searching for Franklin Cruz. Just Google Franklin Cruz, affordable homes, Lakeland,
I
Florida.
appreciate it.
You're going to find out what he's doing, man. Or look for Franklin on Facebook. He's got great, the press that you're getting right now is both. I haven't seen any of the bad. I've only seen the good, and I think it's really wild how you've captured that sort of almost viral moment with what you're doing down there, bro. And so keep on doing. Honestly, I
Thank you,
almost want to strap on a tool belt and come down there and learn how to build houses with you, man, because I think it's very
man.
fascinating now. So thanks for sharing with us, man.
I'll probably be coming up with a course for that.
Yeah, I get
For
the sense
sure.
that might be in
Yeah.
the making.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, first of all, I want to say thank you for this, because thank you that, it's been 4 years since I've actually been asked any questions related to what I'm up to. And to me, I've just been like this, laser focused, because I didn't want to open up until I knew that I knew what I was talking about and I was actually good at it. Because it was a big thing. I didn't want to sit up here and say something I didn't do or
As
don't know.
as the
So
pastor in
thank
my
you for that.
church says, there ain't no testimony without a test, and you've been tested, my friend. And so you've got a great story to tell.
Oh, yeah.
Continue to tell it everywhere you go. Yeah.
I will, man. Thank you so much, brother.
All
And
right,
thank you,
brother.
Jack, as well, for the time, man. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks a lot, man. It was great to learn from you.
Perfect. Hopefully we
Thanks,
can do
Art.
this again.
Absolutely.
I'll go ahead and wrap it. Hey guys, thanks for listening. It's been Craig Fuhr and Jack Bevere with Real Investor Radio. Thanks to Franklin Cruz. We'll talk to you guys again next time.